This year, Americans have become hungrier, lonelier, and more desperate, Michael Snyder reports. The ominous trends that we see all around us are taking us somewhere. Needless to say, 2023 was not a very good year for our country. Hunger and homelessness have been absolutely exploding, and suicide rates continue to go even higher. There's chaos in the streets on an almost nightly basis. It's an environment that the election of 2024 will happen. I expect election season to add an additional level of strain to our society, and I don't think that our society will be able to handle it. We're heading for a nightmare, and at this point, everyone should be able to see that. When conditions deteriorate, it's often those at the bottom of the economic food chain that feel it first. And right now, food banks all over the nation are dealing with a tsunami of hunger. Food bank leaders from all over the corners of the country tell USA Today their neighborhood pantries are serving more people while using less resources as economic pressures continue to ravage the budgets of low-income Americans and service providers alike. Since pandemic-era boosts to government food aid ended earlier this year in many states, families are turning to food banks to close a gap in need that feels it had no end in sight. Susanna Morgan, the president of Oregon Food Bank, says that she's literally witnessing the worst rate of hunger in my career, she said. This is the worst rate of hunger in my career, said Morgan, who has worked at food banks in Boston, San Francisco, and Anchorage, Alaska. She said, it's so large, it's hard to wrap your head around. I don't know what I have to do to convince some people that things really are this bad. I keep sharing fact after fact in my articles, but some people out there are just not convinced. 1 out of every 5 children in the U.S. does not have enough food to eat, but the reality of the suffering that is now taking place just is not sinking in for many of those that are still living in high life. Meanwhile, homelessness in the U.S. is increasing at the fastest rate ever recorded. The United States experienced a dramatic 12% increase in homelessness as soaring rents and a decline in coronavirus pandemic assistance combined to put housing out of reach for more Americans, federal officials said on Friday. About 653,000 people are experiencing homelessness during the January snapshot, and that's the highest number since the country began using the yearly point-in-time survey in 2007 to count the homeless population. There are many out there that feel that such people need to get a job or work harder, but the truth is that most Americans are living on the verge of economic disaster because most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. At the same time, Americans continue to get even lonelier. According to USA Today, Americans are lonely and it's killing them, and at this point, things are so bad that the crisis is being called a new pandemic. America has a new pandemic. It cannot be treated using traditional therapies, even though it has debilitating and even deadly consequences. The problem seeping in at the corners of our communities is loneliness, and U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy is hoping to generate awareness and offer remedies before it claims more lives. Most of us probably think of loneliness as just a bad feeling, he told USA Today. It turns out that loneliness has far greater implications for our health when we struggle with a sense of social disconnection, being lonely or isolated. It's especially bad during this time of year. There are so many people out there that are deeply, deeply hurting because they are so lonely. They're trying their best to face a world that has gone completely mad, but that can be really difficult to do when you just don't have anyone to lean on for support. Speaking of a world gone mad, retail theft has absolutely skyrocketed in many of our largest cities since 2019. Crime rate in New York City has seen the biggest impact with a 64% increase in retail theft, followed by Los Angeles with 61% jump, and Virginia Beach, Virginia has seen a 44% rise. Each month, more Americans are descending into poverty and more Americans are turning to crime, and it certainly does not help that vast hordes of illegal immigrants are constantly being added to the mix. Chaos in the streets becoming almost constant state of affairs in this country. And this year in Oakland, there was even rioting on Christmas Eve. Of course, our leaders continue to exist in a bubble where none of these problems constitutes a serious crisis. To them, everything must be just fine because they're doing such a wonderful job. When he was recently confronted about the reality of the economic crisis that we're now facing, Joe Biden bluntly told the press to start reporting it the right way, quote unquote. President Biden criticized news coverage of the U.S. economy as he faces growing backlash from voters over his handling of inflation. In brief remarks Saturday before boarding the presidential helicopter, Biden expressed confidence in the economy and ripped the reporters for the way it's been portrayed. All good, take a look, start reporting it the right way, Biden said when asked about his economic outlook for 2024, according to a transcript released Sunday by the White House. He wants the press to continue to spin things in a way that will make him look good, as they always have done in the past, but we have reached a stage where all of the charades are finally crumbling. Conditions are now bad, and they're going to get even worse in 2024, so brace yourself for what's ahead because we're going to experience so much chaos during the year that is in front of us. And this is by Michael Snyder. He says about the author, my name is Michael. And my brand new book entitled Chaos is now available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. In addition to my new book, I've written 7 other books available on Amazon, including 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, Living a Life That Really Matters, commissions earned. When you purchase any of these books, you help to support the work that I'm doing. And one way that you can really help is by sending copies as gifts to family and friends. Time is short and I need help getting these warnings into the hands of as many people as possible. I've also started a brand new Substack newsletter, and I encourage you to subscribe so you won't miss any of my articles. I've published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream and the Most Important News. And the articles that I publish on those sites are republished on dozens of other prominent websites all over the globe. I always freely and happily allow others to republish my articles on their own websites, but I also ask that they include this about the author section with each article. The material contained in this article is for general information purposes only, and readers should consult licensed professionals before making legal, business, financial, or health decisions. I encourage you to follow me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, and any way that you can share these articles with others is definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, I strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. And this is by Michael Snyder on the Economic Collapse blog. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.